Now go to your room and sleep. I'll find about why I'm worried about her. She has not eaten in 2 days, and she has a severe head injuries with a lot of blood loss. Tia told me that she drove the car herself, and yesterday she could even stand up properly. I don't know what state she'll be in. Son, go now. Your wife must be waiting for you. Take care of her. Jungkook, yes, mom. He got up with a heavy heart and walked towards his room while his mother dialed Ryan's number on her phone. She was in her apartment alone once again at the same place where she had left with her companion just a few days ago. After work, she came straight here. She didn't feel like going home anymore. She sat on her bed, leaning against the background, eyes closed, lost in thoughts. Her body was burning with fever, and tears were streaming down her face. She was in pain, but what hurt even more was the thought that the man she loved was now in someone else's arms. It was not just now, even when she was fully immersed in her love for him, blindly trusting him. He was still spending nights in someone else's arms. This truth was tearing her apart from the inside. She didn't want to cry, but the pain was so overwhelming that tears were flowing uncontrollably. The ringing of the phone made her open her eyes, and she looked at the phone of the table. Seeing the name and number on the mobile screen, a bitter smile appeared on her lips. The person who should have been worried about her didn't care whether she existed or not, while others were concerned about her. With great effort, she picked up the phone from the table and answered the call, putting it to her ear. Mrs. John, where are you, child? It's been so late and you have not come home. Are you okay? She spoke immediately after Wine answered the call. Wine, Mama, relax. I am fine at my apartment. She spoke in a tired voice. Mrs. John, child, why are you at your apartment? You should come home. You are not feeling well. And how will you stay alone there? Your voice doesn't sound right either. When Mom, I am fine, don't worry, I am used to staying alone, I can manage. She wiped away her tears. Mrs. Young child, come home, this is your home too. She spoke softly, understanding Wine's condition. Wine, no, Mama, it's not my home anymore. I feel suffocated staying there. It's like I am burden on everyone. I feel like I am a sinner, a thorn in their happiness. I am afraid I'll ruin their joy. Jungkook words came back to her and tears started flowing again. Because of me, they seem worried that I might ruin their happiness. I feel like I am a mistake, a wrong decision. That's why I don't want to go back there, Mom. I don't want to be burden on anyone. That's why it's better for me to stay away from everyone and they can enjoy their happiness without any worries. I have to live alone anyway, so I'll find some peace in being alone. Mrs. Jeon, okay, child, take care of yourself. This is also your home and will always be. Come whenever you want. We'll always be waiting for you. And if you don't come and we miss you too much, we'll come to you again. Be prepared for that. She spoke with a smile, and despite her pain, Vine smiled too. She didn't force her. She was also a woman and understood Vine's feeling. Vine, thank you, Mom. That's all she could say, grateful that they cared so much about her despite not being related. Mrs. John, child, you could have at least called to tell us you are not coming home. We were worried. When Mama Time called me in the afternoon and I told him I wouldn't be coming home, I thought he would have told you. Mama, no, didn't tell me. You know what kind of person he is. Mrs. John, child, take care of yourself. Don't stress too much and go see a doctor to get your injury checked. Now go to sleep. Fine. Okay, Mom, goodbye. She ended the call, put the phone aside, opened the drawer, took out some pills, and swallowed them with water. Then she lay down, her body weak and her heart heavy with sorrow. She had not slept in 2 days, and the pain of her broken heart was keeping her awake. But now, with the guilt, she felt a numbness spreading through her body, and her eyelids began to droop. As she drifted off to sleep, tears streaming down from the corner of her eyes, and her last thought was of the love she had lost. Her eyes slowly closed, and her breathing slowed as she succumbed to the darkness of her sorrow. The pain of her heartbreak was still there, but the pills had dulled it, allowing her to escape into a fitful sleep. She ended the call and took a deep breath. Someone's newly built home had been destroyed, but what was meant to happen had happened, and herself wanted her to be free from the pain. She got up from the couch and turned to go to her room. When she saw Jungkook standing behind her, his face showed that he had heard everything. "Mrs. Johnson, you are still here. Why didn't you go to your room?" She was surprised to see him standing there for so long. "Jungkook, I was about to leave, but then I thought I'd ask about my own well-being from you before I go. I am going to sleep. You should too." He didn't stop and went to his room. She saw the color draining from her son's face. As he entered the room, he saw Emma sleeping on the bed, and then he went to his study room and lay down on the couch, resting his head on his arm. For a long time he stared blankingly at the ceiling. Just one promise had led to him losing everything. After a while he took out his mobile phone from his pocket and stared, gazing at one's picture on the wallpaper. As he looked at her picture, his eyes lost control and tears began to flow from the corner of his eyes. "Jungkook, so you left me without asking any question or seeking any answer. You didn't even say a word. You were right to be angry with me, but at least you could have stayed in front of me, in front of my eyes. You didn't have to leave me like this." He spoke in a low voice, looking at her picture, and then he closed his eyes, still holding the phone to his chest. He was also in pain, but no one wanted to understand his suffering. No one was interested in knowing why he had become the way he was. Everyone just hated him or judged him, but he didn't care about anyone except one person, and she had left him. After Emma's checkup with the doctor, Jungkook took her to the park for a walk and some fresh air. She was now 7 months pregnant, and her belly had grown significantly, making it difficult for her to walk. Jungkook held her hand as they strolled, and when Emma stopped near a bench, "I am tired now and I don't think I can walk anymore," she said, looking at Jungkook with a pitiful expression. Jungkook took a deep breath. Jungkook, "Okay, let's sit for a bit and then we'll head home." Emma sat down on the bench and Jungkook sat down a little distance away from her. They both stared, watching the children playing in the park with their families. "Jungkook, are you hungry? Should I get you something to eat?" "Emma, no, I'm not hungry. Don't worry about me so much. Take care of yourself too. Think about yourself for once, and thank you for doing so much for me." Emma said, placing her hand on Jungkook's hand, which was resting on the bench. She could sense the emotion behind his eyes as he watched the families and children playing together in front of them. He appeared normal to others, but she was the only one who knew what was going on inside him. Jungkook, I am fine, and what should I think about or worry about? I have everything: a home, parents, brother, money, fame, and soon a complete family. That's all anyone could want, and all I have it. A bitter smile appeared on his lips as he gazed off into the distance with lost eyes. As Emma looked at him, tears began to flow from her eyes. She knew that despite his words, he was not okay. His smiles and laughter had disappeared in these 4 months, and she could see the pain and sadness in his eyes. Sorry you have lost everything because of me, she spoke in a trembling voice, and Jungkook turned his gaze towards her. He really looked at her as her face and eyes reminded him of his own pain and added to her distress. Jungkook, why you apologize? I am fine and I have not lost anything. I have everything. But because of me, someone had lost everything. And gently wiped away my tears and now don't think about this anymore. It's not your concern and I don't want to see tears in your eyes again. Someone watching from afar felt a pang of regret at the scene. Jungkook tried his best to take care of Emma and make her happy, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't fill the void completely. He looked away again, but Emma didn't take her eyes off him. Jungkook, why don't you go meet her? Try talking to her once all issues can be resolved through conversation. Jungkook, I don't have the courage to meet her, Emma, to face her gaze. If I meet her, I fear I'll lose control. She is so lovely and cute that it's hard for me to keep my promise when I'm around her. I am a sinner and she hates me now. No one leaves someone until all their hopes, happiness, and love are exhausted. She is barely holding on to her life, and I don't want to go to her and restart her suffering all over again. Emma, you are not Sarah Jungkook, but I am. And what about you? Will you always be like this? Jungkook smiled thoughtfully at her question. What about me? I'll live my life. I have responsibilities now that I need to fill. It's better if she moves on with her life and forgets me. But I have seen how much she loves you. She can't hate you. You are a chapter in her life that she can't move past. Haven't you seen the pain in her eyes when she looks at you? And you can't live without her either. Admit it, maybe if you go to her, she'll be waiting for you. Jungkook, Emma, I know her. She is a very proud girl. She'll soon never accept me back into her life again. She didn't even keep the one thing I gave her, so how can she accept me again after all the pain I caused her? After what I did to her, she won't even want to see me again. One face and her trembling lips like a child appeared in his mind again, and the old bitter memories began to haunt him once more. But she is still your wife. How could you say that? Jungkook, let's drop this topic and not discuss it again. Just take care of yourself and your babies. Don't strain them before they even arrive in this world. You have not eaten anything for a while. Let's get you something to eat first and then we'll head home. Jungkook helped Emma stand up by holding her hands and they walked to her favorite restaurant. She was standing in the kitchen cooking her dinner after taking a shower at night. She was extremely hungry because, due to her carelessness, she often skipped 1 or 2 meals. Her routine had become like this. She spent the whole day working at the office and sometimes works until midnight, then slept, executed, and without breakfast, she went back to the office. She had become more cruel than before. She stayed busy with the work and slept after taking sleeping pills in her free time. As she was cooking, the doorbell caught her attention. Why and who could it be at this time? Besides Taya, who could it be? He never tells me before coming, he always shows up suddenly. She looked at her cooking, worried that if she left it, it might burn. Wait for 2 minutes, Taya, I'm busy, she called out from where. she was, but forgot that her voice wouldn't carry outside her apartment. She hastily moved her foot aside and walked towards the door. Upon seeing the person standing there, she froze, and the person was equally stunned, unable to blink as he gazed at her beautiful face. After 5 months, he had never expected to see her standing before him so suddenly. Her wine eyes began to well up with tears as she saw him after 5 months, but she refused to cry, especially not in front of him. It had taken her so much effort to pull herself out of the shock of his betrayal, to gather her strength and move on, yet his presence had undone all her hard work in an instant. The wound had reopened, and her soul felt shattered and crushed once more. She bit her lip, mustering every ounce of self-control to keep her emotions in check. Meanwhile, the man standing before her had finally surrendered to his heart after a 5 months battle with himself. He stood there, his eyes locked on her, his presence a painful reminder of the love they once shared. She was his wife, his first love, and his last. Jungkook, may I come in? He asked, his voice low and husky, breaking the silence that had hung between them like a challenge. As he gazed at her, he saw the faintest glimmer of the woman he once knew, the woman he had hurt so deeply. His beautiful voice, the one that had been music to her ears, still captivating her. Seeing him being so close to her again brought back a flood of memories, each one a painful reminder of what they had lost. She stood there frozen in time, her eyes flashing with mixture of emotion, anger, hurt, and betrayal. She wanted to refuse him, to tell him to leave and never come back, but the words got stuck in her throat. Her voice, once so full of life and laughter, was now barely a whisper. Silently she stepped aside, following him, into her heart heavy with the weight of their unresolved past. He had yearned to hear her voice, but for now allowing him to enter was enough for him. Otherwise, if any other girl were in her place, she would have slammed the rose shut on his face, but she was fine, and he knew how refined and elegant she was. Her parents had raised her well, and Jungkook took pride in the fact that his love was such a remarkable girl. He closed the door and followed her, watching as she silently returned to cooking in the kitchen. The aroma of food wafted through the air, reminding him of how long it had been since he had tasted one's cooking. Jungkook, I am hungry. Is there something to eat? He asked politely, watching as she portioned out a plate of food. One silently placed the plate in front of him and began cleaning up. Jungkook, you eat too. You must have made it for yourself. You must be hungry. He waited for her to speak, but she remained silent, continuing with chores. One thought constricted as she looked at him, her hunger vanishing. She silently washed the dishes while Jungkook stood there, eating from the plate. She was angry, and her anger was justified, but seeing her like this, Jungkook felt a pang in his heart. As he took his first bite, his eyes welled up with tears. He had missed Van terribly, her presence, her feelings, the taste of her cooking. He had thought he would stray away from her, that he would meet her one last time to give his heart closure and set her free, but now he found it difficult to do so. He began eating, feeling a sense of peace he had not experienced in a long time. After finishing half the plate, he set it aside, finished her chores, and started to leave the kitchen. Jungkook Wan, he called out softly, his gentle tone capable of stopping her breath. His voice made her foot stop hard, and her eyes filled up with tears, but she didn't turn around to face him. Jungkook saw his presence and his voice still had an impact on her. He took a few steps closer, standing behind her. Jungkook, say something, Bayan. Talk to me, argue with me, ask me questions, get angry with me, scream at me. But please don't stay silent. Your silence has been suffocating me for the past 5 months. Don't kill me with this silence. His voice cracked with emotion, but Bayan's heart had grown numb from the pain. He knew that when he faced her, he wouldn't be able to keep his promise, and the weight of her actions was crushing him. Taking a deep breath, she turned to Jungkook. Why are you here today? She asked, her voice cold and detached as if his word had fallen on deaf ears. As he heard her voice after so long, he felt a sense of calm wash over him. Nothing, I just came to see you, he said, his defensive crumbling in front of her. The cold exterior he had built for the world was melting away as he stood before the woman he loved. When was it just to see if I am still alive or dead? She asked, her word piercing his heart. Are not you regretful to see me alive? Jungkook. Her words stung, but he maintained his composure. Don't say that. I wanted to see you, so I came to meet you. You are my wife. I can meet you whenever I want. He spoke softly, reaching out his hand to her, but she took two steps back, and he withdrew his hand, clenching it into his fist. Why, I am not your wife, she said, her voice firm. Your wife is someone else, and if that bothers you, you can divorce me. When I didn't say anything before, what can I say now? Jungkook was hurt by her words, and the mention of divorce not only pained him but also ing- ignited his anger. Jungkook, can you really think of nothing but separating from me with a clear conscience? Don't you have anything else to discuss, to say, or to ask? He spoke with a mix of pain and anger. When no, you left no room for conversation or relationship between us. Everything is over. It's better if this formal relationship between us also comes to an end. Congratulations on your new life. Be happy with your family and child, and let me live with my life. Leave me alone. You have already left me. Please leave. She spoke, her voice trembled, and she struggled to appear strong in front of him. But the person who had taken residence in her heart was someone she couldn't shake off, no matter how hard she tried. If you ever get a chance to think, remember that I never left you alone, and I will never, he said, his tone serious. Your words and tone didn't match, and you can leave me whenever you want. I respect your decision you make. Take care, bye, and thanks for food. With that, he departed, leaving Vian pent-up tears to flow freely. Her body felt lifeless as she sat down on a chair, overwhelming by her emotions. She was distant from him, but separating herself from his name was not easy for her either. That cruel person had only come to hurt her more. You left me no path except to yearn for you, she whispered, her voice cracking. Why did you do this to me? My love for you has always been one sided. She wiped away her tears with indifference and gazed at the plate of food. She pulled the half-eaten plate towards her, the one Jungkook had left behind. It seems as though he had saved food for someone. A faint smile crossed her face as she began to eat from the leftover plate, her tears streaming down her face. No matter how strong she appeared, deep down she was still the same girl yearning for his love, still the same girl who was longing and waiting for him. But she had made up her mind she wanted to be free from all these emotions and feelings.